What's going on, TW fans? We're back at ICAST. It's day 3. We're in the Sunline booth. Man, it has been a long show, and I'm with Michael Neal, MLF Pro, and one of the most dominant anglers on tour the last few years. You know, you got an Angler of the Year title. You know, consistently always in the running for the win on on big tournaments, and line probably one of the most important things in your arsenal. And we got a couple new ones from Sunline.
Yeah, the first one is the Overwatch. And I always tell people, don't skimp on your line. That's the one connection you have to every fish, is what's tied onto your rod and reel. So the Overwatch, this is going to be my go-to spinning rod braid. When we were testing it last fall, I had some actually last into the spring. Was very disappointed when I ran out. But it's just small sizes, just for spinning rods. It's super slick, super quiet. It is an 8-strand, and it's metered. It's a dark green and a light green, so it's not just super bright on your reel, but you can still see those strikes that you can't always see with a dark green line.
And that's got to be crucial for you, especially with your weightless presentations, or just getting way out there from the boat, is seeing that line jump a little bit.
It is, exactly, and I like the dark green. I don't like the the brights necessarily as much as a whole, but just to be able to see those subtle strikes, that does make a big difference. And I mean, this stuff, it casts super far. You can be super efficient with it, and it's very, very manageable. It's very soft. It's almost like it's like fluorocarbon on a bait caster. It's that kind of manageable.
So it doesn't have like that rough texture like a old school style braid does.
No, not at all. Super, super quiet coming through your guides.
And probably a lot nicer tied knots and stuff with it.
It is. It's some lines are a little bit harder to tie an FG with, but this one, it just binds right into it. It doesn't have a special coating on the outside of it like some of them do, so this one binds really well.
Which is really nice. I mean, I think most people have converted by now to the FG knot. I mean, it's proven that it's the best knot you can get.
No doubt.
For your spinning rod tackle, it just flies through the guide so much more efficiently. Small, thin. You cannot break that thing.
No,
so
not at all.
phenomenal knot. So if you're looking for a new spinning reel line, check out the old Overwatch. And then we got another one. What do we got here?
The Siglon PE AMZ 8. This is another 8-strand braid. This one is available in spinning rod sizes. It's in the orange for up to like 18-pound test.
Yeah.
Above that goes into a green. So there is a casting rod option for this. Again, super slick. It's got a coating on it to where it doesn't fray as easy, and the color stays a lot longer.
That's very nice.
Yeah, that's a big deal. A lot of guys complain about the color comes out of their braid, or it wants to fray a little bit as it gets over time. But this is taking care of all those problems. And this is probably going to be my go-to for that casting rod. I'm going to stick mostly with Overwatch, but this is also a great option if you want to go with one line for both.
And maybe the guys that want the high vis, they want that orange line that they can see, a little easier to pick up on certain kinds of conditions. But like Michael said, we got it in the green for those bigger size for your casting rod applications.
Yeah, and again, if you want to tie an FG knot with this and a casting rod, you can do that too. A lot of guys are doing that. That's becoming more and more popular for flipping and pitching. So great FG knot line as well.
Yeah, a lot of guys converting to that just for all around fishing. Braid to a fluoro leader. There's a ton of benefits to it. So these are both available. These are actually going to be available really soon at Tackle Warehouse. Should be shipping within a couple weeks, but if you want to, you can pre-order them right now at tacklewarehouse.com. And up next from Sunline, we got a new specialty line. I mean, Sunline's always known for, making high quality line that's very technique specific, getting that formula tuned for, kind of exactly what you need. And this one's no exception. So we got the new fine float. Give us a little bit of breakdown on this one, Michael.
Yeah, like you said, we've got the Crank FC, we've had Flippin' FC and stuff like that in the past, but the fine float is more for if you're going to be fishing in areas that have a lot of current and you're wanting your line not to get drugged by that. It's specifically made, it's very water repellent, so it doesn't try and grab it and pull it downstream. It's going to maintain a straighter line to where you're at, and it is a nylon or monofilament type line, so it's going to float. It's not going to sink at all, not going to drag your bait along with it, and just creates a very, very natural presentation to let your bait drift downstream.
Which is really cool, for those drift anglers, certain parts of the country, doing maybe a lot of salmon, steelhead, drifting down river systems. And it is a high vis color as well. Maybe in the wintertime, this could be a good alternative for a float and fly application. There's a few different things that where it might play, but mainly, that drift style fishing is where you're going to want to pick this one up. And you can check this one out over at tacklewarehouse.com. It's available right now to pre-order on the website. Now next up, we got a new updated I say updated model of the Model FC fluorocarbon line. So, 100% fluorocarbon line. This one's kind of geared a little bit different than maybe your Sunline Sniper or your shooter. So, where's this one going to play at, Michael?
This one's very much a basic entry-level fluorocarbon. So if you're looking to get into the fluorocarbon game for the first time, coming out of nylon or mono, this is where you want to start out with this model. It's available in 4 sizes, 10, 12, 15, and 20. Small spool sizes, 110 yards. You're probably just going to get 1, maybe 2 at the most reels out of it. But it's just to get you used to the fluorocarbon and see what you've been missing the whole time if you've been using nylon or something else. So, the great characteristics of fluorocarbon, not as much stretch, it sinks, and a lot more sensitivity. So you get all those 3 things for a very low price point, and you get to check it out.
Yeah, and that's really cool. Something maybe a little easier to manage as a new angler. Like you said, smaller spool. If you back them, you can probably get a couple spools out of it if you back your reels correctly, which you should be doing anyway.
Absolutely.
They're just saving money and make your reels perform better. But I know, this line maybe a little softer than some of the fluorocarbons out there. Because when you jump into fluorocarbon, it's a big change from going to monofilament with, it's a little bit stiffer line. But, like you said, no stretch and the invisibility. But it feels a little bit different, casts a little bit different than your traditional monofilament. And this will make an easier transition for a lot of anglers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an easy transition for a low price point, and that's a lot of guys get kind of gun shy about. They don't think it's worth the money, but once they start using this, then they can see what they've been missing the whole time.
Yeah, and then they realize that those more expensive fluorocarbons are worth the money.
Yeah.
So if you want to check it out, maybe try out some fluorocarbon that's not going to break the bank.
Correct.
A great price point. Make sure to head over to tacklewarehouse.com. All right. Last up from Sunline, we got a couple new things. So we got a new leader system, and me and Michael were just talking. Someone who goes through some leaders. Michael Neal is a phenomenal finesse angler, and he just told me he goes through about a 660-yard spool of leader material every 6 months, and it just blows my mind. I get a 200-yard spool, and I'm using it for years, but I don't have any AOY titles or $100,000 checks hanging in my office. So a new fluorocarbon leader material, the Tepa. Tell us a little bit about this one, Michael.
Yeah, so the Tepa, when I first got it, I was kind of skeptical. I didn't really understand the process, but the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. So on one end, it's a smaller diameter, like it goes from 8 to 12, so it's just tapered the whole way through. And what that allows you to do is you can either tie your knot, like an FG knot, with the smaller line, or tie it with a bigger line to go to the smaller at the bait, or either which way you want to do it. So to me, what the biggest benefit I seen was when you have the FG knot, some braids, if you like to throw a small braid, you can't tie too big of a leader to it.
Yeah.
So you've got that smaller end to where you can still tie it, and you're going to lose a little bit of your pound testage, if you will say, at your knot. So if you're tying the FG to 8 and you're tying your bait to 12, you're really not losing anything, because that FG does nothing to your line besides just hold on to it. So it's really a good benefit, and especially for, the casting models have gotten really popular going braid to fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
We've got some bigger line sizes as well. So that's going to be super
you guys have
important.
these up to, I do some 40, 50 pound sizes.
Yeah, like 22 to 36 is one of them. You could get away with tying that FG knot to 22 and be flipping in a mat or whatever else with 36-pound test. So it gives you a lot of different options. It's just a metered or tapered fluorocarbon leader, and it's pre-cut to where you don't have to worry about getting it the same length every time. You get used to it and roll on.
Yeah, that's cool. A couple different ways you can use it. It doesn't have to be, one or the other. You can kind of flip it around and do what you want with it. So something super cool to try out. Maybe something, do a little experimenting out there on the tour. There's probably some secret techniques you guys got where, that tapered line might help it out a little bit. And then last up, we got a couple new spool sizes in the Saltimate fluorocarbon shock leader system. So I can tell you from experience, this stuff is awesome. We use it out on the West Coast for tuna fishing, and we have a couple bigger spools in a couple of the sizes, which are going to be great for those big swim baits and stuff like that. Like you said, you've heard a lot of guys throwing these for glide baits and things like that. And I don't know if Michael Neal is out there tuna fishing, but every once in a while, I'm sure you need some big fluorocarbon.
Yeah, especially like you said, for big swim baits, big glide baits. If you want to go braid to a leader, you know the tactical basking guys do that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the line that they use most of the time. Like you said, now available in bigger sizes. You save a lot of money, or bigger sizes of spools.
Yeah.
So now you save a lot of money doing that. If you get the filler spools, you're going to throw away some at the end, but you get that bulk spool, you don't have to do that but one time.
Yeah, that's very nice. So we got a little bit bigger options, so you can just buy more of the leader, and you don't have to buy as many spools.
Exactly.
So you know, great fluorocarbon system, especially if you're using braided leader on the bigger, heavier bass stuff. So that's going to wrap up today in Sunline. That's all we got for you. Thank you very much, Michael, for your time.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming down and you know, scrambling down here at 9 o'clock
no
on
problem.
the last morning. You know, we're all tired. We need probably 3 more cups of coffee to finish this thing.
I got one right over there.
And I think we're going over to the next booth as well. We're going to just slide right over. So if you guys want to check out any of the Sunline stuff, make sure to head over to tacklewarehouse.com.